Coming in at number 1, created in 1996 by Neo Geo, we have Pleasure Goal, 5-on-5 mini soccer.
Found these vintage TVs, like really nice TVs from a long time ago that have like S component and an RCA like inputs.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. They were left here at this house.
Are you creating a gaming room or something?
Dude. Yes, I am.
Man, that makes me jelly inside.
Yeah, we mounted some TVs to the walls and that kind of shit. And I've got my PS5 up
damn.
now. I held on to that PS5 for this moment, dude. Like, as crazy as it was to let it sit there all that time. Like, I opened it here.
You never actually opened up your PS5?
Till I got here, yeah. Till I got to the home.
How long have you had it?
Probably 8 months.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
Is it a standard or digital edition?
Standard. I can film those perfect videos, like where you throw a CD from across the room and try to get it to land in there.
Is that why you wanted the standard version?
Yeah. Watch this.
Put it on TikTok, you did? Why? Why, Chuck? Why, dude?
God, I would suck at those things. I don't have that kind of patience.
Like, I believe you, man. Welcome, gamers, non-gamers, PvEers, PvPers, and even NPCs. We don't discriminate. This is the New Wave Gaming Podcast, episode 16. I'm Ovox.
And I'm ChukTomahawk.
And we're stoked to have you here. Well, if you didn't already guess, we're gonna be looking into some FIFA, some soccer, some World Cup, because as it happens, there's a huge tournament. Is it a tournament, Chuck, or is it
every 4 years they have the World Cup? Everybody.
Is it a tournament or is it a competition?
Tournament, yeah. It's definitely tournament style. I guess, like, it's not just traditionally like say the NBA basketball tournament where like one loss you're out. You kind of start out in these groups and then you advance to the second, through some stages, and I would butcher it, as far as getting it exactly right, and what happens when certain situations arrive. But in this first part,
you're
it's
right
like
about the group thing.
Yeah, you've got your little group, your 4 buddies, and
they're not buddies, dude.
You guys kick it around for a minute, and 2 of you get to go on, and 2 of you go into the house. So,
oh man,
yeah.
So little event going on over there. Yeah. It's in. Well, I'm joking, right? I mean, I think is that how you pronounce it? I knew this topic was going to come up because I think there's, everyone pronounces it differently. Mm-hmm. I've heard Qatar, and now, what is it?
I think I was just joking with the first one I said. I don't even know.
No, but you got to say it again. What was that again?
But I would say Qatar.
I don't think that's any better than Qatar. Oh, that might be right, dude. What do I know? Yeah. Well,
the maize get stretched over here.
That's in the United Arab Emirates, right? I believe so. UAE.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure. I hope my geography's not off there.
I don't know it's super well over there.
Well, that's very kind of them for hosting the FIFA World Cup. And yeah, it's groups, right? Group A, Group B, Group C.
Yeah,
or something to that effect. What group is the United States in?
We're in a group with England, Wales, and Iran. So I think if as I understand, like if we beat Iran like cleanly, we should get to advance to the next round. But
what do you mean by cleanly? What do you mean without throwing chingazos?
Yeah. I mean, I guess just ultimately not tying.
I see what you mean.
Ultimately win because we tied Wales and tied England as well. So
yep.
I don't know. Like, there's kind of a point system that decides who gets to go to the next round, and I don't know, exactly what you get. I think you get maybe 1 point for a tie and 2 for a win, and I'm not sure how that plays out, but I haven't saw them this year, but my guess is, we should be able to do okay with the Ram, but it doesn't like as far as the USA teams I saw from the past, like it's not the best one I've ever seen, but they're young and scrappy, quick.
Mexico's in a similar situation, man. But gosh, no need to get into that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it ain't looking great.
Yeah.
Yep. So we've got a very sporty episode here for you. Gonna have a lot of FIFA in here. We're gonna be getting into some soccer game history. I'm gonna be using soccer and football interchangeably, but
because you're in Mexico,
listeners, I know.
Soccer.
No, I know, listeners. Look, I know that the reality is that it's football, but I might say soccer interchangeably.
I think as an American, like we're like tied to like soccer, like whether you believe it or not, like whether we should yield on that. Because, dude, they chanted during the game with England. They chanted, "It's called soccer." Like the USA fans.
Oh, it's funny. No, I get it.
Yeah,
I don't really care at the end of the day, but it does make, like, when you think about it, like the logic of it, how they're kicking the football, so they call it, they're kicking it all the time using their legs and feet, so they call it football.
Yeah.
And then you have American football where they rarely use their feet. So
yeah,
you can't strongman the logics on that one, man. Or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as far as comedy goes, they're both pretty right. Soccer kind of isn't as good as foot and balls. Like yeah. Better than clam slap. Soccer.
Yeah. So we got some soccer game history for you. We've got we're gonna be talking about FIFA games, and we've got ChukTomahawk has the predictions for the World Cup, who's going to be winning this World Cup, and based off some cool gaming algorithm stuff. I got a cool top 5 list for you that we're going to be looking at towards the end of the episode as well. And before we get into that, though, we always like to chit-chat for a minute or two about our latest gaming experiences. And, well, that's been Warzone 2.0. Pew, 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 pew.
Yeah.
Man, how about it? Chuck, go ahead.
I think first impressions,
bang, bang.
I've kind of been running it like full graphics wise, and like I just love like how immersive it feels, and
just rub it in.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I like that part, but it seems like we've spent like a bulk of my experience has been in the DMZ area, and it was unexpected. Like when we've talked before about what was coming up with this, like we didn't necessarily say, hey, there might be this part that's kind of part survival game, part I think the chance to get those skins and things for your guns is really cool in there. Like it's kind of drives me to want to play more and be involved.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to miss out. Like if the group all gets a really cool thing or or something. So yeah, I'm digging that for sure. Just some of my first impressions. Two thumbs
of the DMZ. But what about the regular Warzone?
That I haven't got to play as much. I think I still I want to say the first characters that I killed in DMZ. I didn't realize they were NPCs.
I remember when you were like, I don't remember exactly what you said, but it was something along the lines. It was real simple. You're like, are those real players?
Yeah,
or something like that.
Because it means more to me when I kill a real player for sure. Especially since
were you heartbroken?
Skill. No. Once I saw the appeal and the fact that there are a few real players too to kind of sprinkle in there, just to even feed that kind of how you can spoil somebody else's extraction, kind of thing.
Yeah,
it kind of makes up for it. So,
dude, for the longest time, I didn't believe Pepe Tortilla that there were actually other players in there.
Yeah.
I just didn't believe him, man. He kept saying it. He's like, I swear, man, I swear there's other players in here.
And how does he find out so quick? Like, it's only been out for days. Like how does he?
Because it literally says on the freaking thing, man. And I never actually read the description.
Scroll that.
It says, something to the effect of taking on NPCs or something, AI or whatever, and other operators. Mm-hmm. And when it says "and other operators," that's other players. So it's very clear. And then it's when you load into DMZ and it like drops you in there. I think it's Captain Price or someone like that. One of the there's like someone talking to you, telling you what to do. When you load in, you're in the DMZ. You need to do. He says in there, you're gonna face other operators. So it's like, oh, okay. So eventually I was like, oh, okay, you're right. And then we've obviously engaged them. I love DMZ. I think it's a great new mode that they brought to the table.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people were like, well, where's Plunder? Where's Resurgence?
Yeah.
But we got DMZ, and it's just a beta. So it's going to get better.
Yeah, I was going to say, if I had a complaint or something, it would be that there was no Resurgence, because that kind of hits a sweet spot. It's almost like if we all play Battle Royale together, especially in a group of 4, and you end up that one guy's still alive and everyone's watching. It's kind of fun in some respects, but it also, it gets kind of boring, to just sit there for a while. So I think that's why we always choose Resurgence. In the first Warzone, Warzone 1.0.
The pace.
Yeah, because it does kind of ultimately come down to a battle there at the end too. I like that pacing. So, I'm excited to see where they go. I think we'll see a Resurgence type thing in the new Warzone eventually too.
They have to do something, because a lot of people are complaining about the pacing in the new Warzone. Like the map's very big, so you can spend, a lot of time just like getting from point A to point B, not finding any other players, just trying to get to the next engagement. So there's been a lot of critiques about that particular thing. They proposed a solution. Well, some people have proposed as a solution just adding another 50 players, taking it from 150 to 200, which would that might fix it. What about like just overall like for example, something that I love about Warzone 2.0 is the gun mechanics, the time to kill. Like when you get an engagement, it feels different, it sounds different, and it just doesn't take as much to take out an enemy. Seems a little bit more realistic in that sense. Mm-hmm. Not that you're looking for realistic necessarily, because
I agree. Yeah.
Not everything can be so realistic. There's got to be balance in these mechanics, so that so there's like a fine balance, between players that aren't good and then really great players, and then that mid thing that I forget the name of it, but that midway line of TTK. Mm-hmm. So there's a fine balance with TTK when it comes to allowing players that aren't as necessarily as great with like aiming and following and all that stuff to have a chance, versus players that are savages, just never letting them have a chance. Mm-hmm. Because there's some players that are demons, man, as the Tap Man says.
Yeah, because it almost felt unrealistic.
Demons.
Demon. With that movement. But I agree. If the time to kill is too long, it does. That's not. That goes towards the unrealistic side. But I think what you might be about to get into, as I'm going to say, is, as far as the battle royale side of things, like the fact that they took out slide canceling.
I was just gonna say that. You were talking about movement, man. You can't. You like they cut off the demon's leg.
And I've been seeing a ton of videos, like especially like folks from Generation X or whatever. We're saying that this is our Call of Duty. This is what we remember. Where we could compete. Before just
I see what you're saying.
Any engagement that you get in now, like you had to be able to shoot and move at the same time, and toward that realistic point, like there's no bunny hopping in real gunfights. I don't think, like I can see how that got.
Oh, like in the real world?
Yeah, yeah, and like you said, we're not necessarily looking for just a perfect sim, but
yeah,
I will say, dude, I've already saw. Have you heard of the G-Walk already? Like they're already exploiting the new movement mechanics.
they're gonna be finding everything that you can. Oh yeah,
have you seen the G-Walk?
You know it.
No,
it's
I
almost
haven't. They kind of look like they're moving like a monkey. They're kind of hunched over. I can't tell you what buttons they're pushing or whatever, but I assume it's like something to do with the mantle mechanic, like where you can kind of porpoise dive or whatever.
Oh God,
yeah, they're.
I'll look for it.
I'll
look for
some craziness. So
that's funny.
Yeah, but it's fun. I think, dude. I honestly, I don't have anything bad to say. Other than like they're gonna obviously keep perfecting it, and it'll get.
You better believe it. Yeah, they will.
Yeah,
they will. What else? What else caught my eye about Warzone? Are you gonna get the full game?
Modern Warfare. Yeah, I already have.
Oh, yeah. Have you got Battlefield 1 yet?
No.
Ah, man, dude, you don't know what you're missing. You don't know what you're missing, Tomahawk. But
yeah, I feel like I tried it once before. I would love to play with y'all. I'd get it just to play with y'all. I don't have any, qualms against doing that. I just hadn't had time.
It's all good, man. I'm just giving you a hard time. All right. So Warzone 2, what would you how many stars would you give it?
I'm gonna give it 2 thumbs up, 3, including my wiener.
Jeez, what? I asked for stars. What are you, Siskel and Ebert on Pornhub and my wiener? Most people aren't going to know who Siskel and Ebert are if they're too young.
And then this shout
2
out.
thumbs up. That's the easiest review. You just 2 thumbs up. Never changes. 2 thumbs up.
I said,
pick up a book at the airport. 2 thumbs up. Oh no, they didn't do books. They did movies, right?
Yeah, they did movies.
Was it movies? Yeah. You'd look on it and say 2 thumbs up.
That's true. Yeah,
that's funny.
They were a good dude. But I mean,
I don't remember. I think it was on movies. They did that on movies.
If I had to, we're talking like a 5-star rating. I'd go 4.5.
4.5. Yeah. What's taking away the last 0.5?
Because only a rookie gives like round numbers as scores.
Okay, I see. You obviously use Amazon a lot.
It's Dave
Portnoy. It's always 4.5.
Like, you don't see Dave
There's never
Portnoy's
5 complete stars.
Pizza reviews. It's like one bite. Everybody knows the rules. Anytime he asks somebody to give a guess score, they'll be like 7, and he's like, "Yeah, rookie score." Nobody gives round numbers. So he's always like 8.1. That kind of thing.
Yeah, I think there's some things I think that need a little tweaking. So, for on its release, I would have given it, like on the release day when we played it, when it just came out, 3 stars. My most recent experiences are around that 4 star, 4.5 star. So yeah, and it's just gonna get better and better.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's those games. They provide a unique gaming experience that you can't really find in other games.
And just a full disclosure, I got a couple dev errors like there in the very beginning. I got the dev 6146, like a couple, like when I first tried to join my first like battle royale matches, like it wouldn't work.
Oh, are you still getting Ghost Band or whatever? What was it? Ghost.
That's probably it.
They're still
punishing the shadow band.
They're still trying to dull the tomahawk.
They had to delay my entry to the battle zone.
Yeah, we're gonna send this guy a dev message. Error.
It's frustrating. I don't know. I felt like it was first day. Everybody. I try. You got to try it like opening day. Just to say you did, and yeah, that's what I got. But I got in there eventually.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I look forward to seeing what Warzone's got. Warzone 2's got coming for us. All right.
Yeah.
Soccer games. Juegos de fútbol. When How long have they been around, us, man? They've probably been around since the very beginning. It depends on how you would relate a soccer game, right? How you define it. The earliest soccer game I could find was 1974. And the only reason I think it's soccer game is because it's literally named soccer.
I agree. I was kind of...
Otherwise, it's hard to tell what you're really looking at, like, it could be soccer.
I feel like, I was kind of searching for the worst that I could find or whatever. And I saw... There's some bad ones. I saw, like, I feel like maybe at that time frame you're talking about, it was like they had took Pong and they just put some soccer players on the field, essentially.
Yes, exactly. You're like, look, there's an overlay. Obvious. Listeners, you gotta look for this. Go on to Google and just there's some good YouTube videos too, where they go over all the games. But if you go on there, look for just type in soccer game or just soccer by. Hold on, who was that by? Chuck, was it by? I think it was by the Spectrum. I got a picture here because I took notes. Everyone, I took notes because this is a professional podcast here that we work on. Nothing but top notch. What's it called? Hold on. It was on the Odyssey. Came out in 1974, called Soccer, and it is like you can see the little paddle things going up and down, and there's just an overlay of red and blue players.
Yeah.
And I think the Odyssey was released by Magnavox.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. The Magnavox Odyssey, I think it was.
Yeah. My cousin actually had one. I played some games on there. There's a game I think called Quest for the Rings is probably its claim to fame. Yeah. I have to say, as crazy as that sounds, I was watching some gameplay of that, and it's kind of like he was hitting the pong ball, and there was the overlay includes a goalie, and it went right. The ball went right by the goalie, and I was like, "Oh man, you almost got that!" Like,
just bringing your imagination.
Yeah, I mean, it was almost better than Pong. I have to say.
Oh man, and it's cool. You know what's rad is like when you've experienced those games, or you're just like really aware of like. I don't know. It might be impossible if you're not a certain age or older, but that represented a huge improvement in like quote unquote graphics. Yeah. Well, or the gaming experience. Like that was a huge advancement going from just the paddles to like an overlay on the screen. Yeah. It allowed your imagination to go a little bit further. Like, isn't that? Oh, yeah, absolutely. You know what I mean? Like,
well, and I think one of the funny things about that story too is like I want to say they released the Odyssey was maybe released under some other name or a little other something to the name in the UK, and they released it like that. And I think in the United States they went to release it and they decided like maybe it would be better, like hockey would sell better, so they just
oh, yeah.
they just switched out the like there was no like, hey, we got to make people skate now, or anything like that.
Yeah, they just changed the name.
Yeah,
I saw that because it literally said on this video thing, it said soccer ! And then there was a / and it said hockey ! I was like, I see.
Yeah.
Oh man,
a lot of imagination had to be involved in that to keep it going, but. It was better than Pong, and I think that was the beginning, but
yeah, something I noticed was like depending on what website I went to or what article or what YouTube video, etc., I would find everyone had kind of their own independent list of all, quote unquote, all the soccer games or all the football games, mm-hmm. And they wouldn't necessarily coincide, so I noticed like each source kind of had like what they deemed it in their article or whatever it may be, what they found to be the entire list of soccer games, which on Wikipedia, man, I don't know if you spotted this anywhere. I didn't know this, adding to the names for football or soccer, as association football. Have you seen that?
No.
Like if you look for soccer on Wikipedia, go ahead, pull it up right now. Go ahead, listeners.
All right.
Do it with Chuck.
All right.
Pull up if you type in there and let's see if it works for you guys like it did for me.
All right.
If you type in soccer Wikipedia, it's not going to come up as soccer. It's not going to come up as football. It's going to come up as association football.
Sure
see what pops up. Really? There it is?
Yep, exactly like you said. Association
Boom.
football, more commonly
Boom,
known
bada
as
bing,
football
baby.
or soccer. Really?
Ahí está. Ahí está.
Why?
As they say down here. Ahí está. Eh?
What?
Ahí está. There it is. There it is. Yeah, so I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I was like, oh, okay. There's a lot of soccer games, man. Like if you go to the list of soccer, there's a list as well. If you go to the list of soccer video games, it's an extremely long list.
Yeah.
So it's hard to really pinpoint. I think the farthest one back I could find that was quote unquote a soccer game was that one because it was called soccer, but it was clear that they just put an overlay onto what looked like Pong.
Mm-hmm. That was like laughable, but like I said, it was amazing how much like it. I have to say, it did make a difference. You know, as crazy as it sounds.
You know, like nowadays, like what we get excited and what we look for, and in advancements in gaming is like when we go from 60 frames to 120 frames. You know, it's like, oh man, yeah, like that's kind of like it's like what. But if you compare, it's like back in time, it's like, man, what do you mean? 120 frames. Have you ever seen an overlay, baby?
Well,
have you ever seen an overlay?
And I think in just a tiny way too, it speaks to the popularity of the game. Just anything you can do to bring that excitement, from watching it and pulling for your favorite team and seeing them score a goal and getting it on your buddies. If you can bring that to a video game. Like it matters, because it's almost like even though that it's a Pong, like if you bring that to the table, like if you're both of your viewpoints, like maybe you're both for different teams and or something, it makes it more exciting somehow,
Yeah, dude. In fact, you just gave me a whole episode idea about Oh no, I'll bring this up later. But you just gave me a great idea for an episode.
I mean, I think it's important to point out the difference too, and that's awesome. But from say like just some original game, like when we sit down to talk about God of War, like it's an original sort of experience where we're kind of bringing something from the real world in the soccer game, especially when we add the World Cup overlay or the what is it, MLS here, Major League Soccer, they call it here in the United States. Like if you add, those teams to it, like it makes it, you kind of bring that in. So,
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. But what I was getting at, and then that's a totally true factor. That does bring a unique experience because it allows you to feel like you're participating in something that is actually in real life, in a real world.
Yeah.
I guess it may relate to like the similar satisfactions of like reading a science fiction versus a nonfiction.
Yeah.
They both bring their value. But what I was getting at is kind of like, and this may be episode worthy, was that with games today in general, including sports games, like they're really trying to what's the right way to put this, satisfy the brain in a way. Like it's such an incredible visual experience. It's so in depth, like games are really in depth, right? They're very complex, they're very satisfying, they're designed to fully like absorb you, where versus back in the day, like if we're looking at we'll use this soccer game from on the Odyssey from 1974, when they put that little overlay, thereby turning it into a soccer game, you really had to use your imagination to create all of that experience that games just dish it out to you now. They just give it to you. It's just there. You turn the game on and it's like, here's your drug. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
You know, with games back then, you kind of had to use your, like you did, like you were describing with the goalie, like, oh, he almost had it. Oh, he almost caught that. You know, he almost deflected that ball. Even though in reality the little character wasn't doing anything, he was just an overlay, just standing there. Like,
even if it hit him
you know,
square in the chops, it would have went right through.
Yeah, I mean,
it would have went under him.
He may have almost deflected it, depending on how many mushrooms you've had. But otherwise, he's like, hey, looking up at you from the screen. I was kind of, what the hell? Haunted Game Boy or whatever the fuck they're doing right now. Just kidding.
Good on you, little buddy.
This is an Odyssey. Damn.
No doubt. I see where they're going with it, but yeah.
What the hell?
It did matter, and yeah.
You know, and man, that was. Was that an Ovox point? A Chuk point? I don't know. I don't even remember what we were originally talking about.
It's fun, isn't it?
Just kind of covering the history of soccer games here. I kind of had to go. I think what we were saying is that it's just kind of hard amongst such a long list of soccer games now. It's kind of hard to pinpoint the very beginning, but for the purposes of this episode, let's just say that this 1974 Magnavox Odyssey release of soccer was kind of the beginning of soccer games, you know, per se.
Yeah. Let me get my outline back up here.
I found a pretty. I liked it. It was a good article, very synthesized considering the history of the video games around this topic. It was on the fandom.com by James McMahon, I think his name is. I hope I'm not getting that wrong. He wrote this on July 5th, 2018. The Weird and Wonderful History of Football Video Games.
Uh-huh.
You can check it out. It says you can pinpoint roughly. This is a funny article, the way he wrote it. You can pinpoint roughly, like a very drunk game of pin the tail on the donkey, the first attempt at a football game back in the primitive 70s. And he mentions a different one. He doesn't mention the 1974 game. He mentions a console. It's called the Binatone TV Master MK4.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of that, man?
No.
Damn.
No.
It sounds
nice.
like a. Yeah, that's kind of nice.
That's a Binatone.
Sounds like it has a wood grain.
What is that? The Binatone TV Master? Dang. You should have said something.
Can you?
Let's play soccer.
Yeah. Or is it hockey?
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink. Yeah. Oh gosh. Wink, wink. Oh man. But let me read this real quick. It says, Binatone TV Master MK4. I'm gonna bring that up here in a minute. I want to see what that looks like. Or I don't know if you could bring it up, Chuck, real quick while I read this. The Binatone
TV Master. Yeah, I'll bring that up.
Yeah, MK4. It says this was a little box you plugged into your telly, filled with pre-installed games, on which you could gosh, can I even read? Let's see. On which you could play slapdash clones of Pong, the 1972 arcade sensation manufactured by Atari. There was tennis, there was squash, and yes, there was football. Although in territories where football wasn't very popular, the USA basically, that little game became rebranded as hockey. That's what you were talking about, man.
It almost looks like a UK thing, the Binatone TV Master. I see one on sale for eBay for like $42.50 in pounds, whatever.
Don't get any wild ideas, Chuck. We know how you are with
add to basket.
Online.
Like,
did you just say add Tabasco?
Hey, there's a buy it now, add Tabasco.
Like, are they offering you the
Binatone
TV Master plus a bottle of Tabasco? Add this to your purchase.
It can be here by December 7th. Oh my God!
Oh shit!
From Bristol in the United Kingdom.
Yeah. Add to basket. I know what you were saying. I was just giving you a hard time.
Yeah, no, it looks pretty cool. I don't ever remember seeing that in the United States, but interesting.
Yeah, it says I'm continuing quoting here from the article that the rebranded hockey and et cetera, it's unsurprisingly it didn't really look or feel a lot like football unfolding on screen how you'd imagine an Olympics held on the moon. Oh, yeah, okay, this guy's just
Olympics
using a
held on
reference,
the moon. Yeah, that's a great reference.
I wasn't following it that well. It says it wasn't until 1979 and Mattel's Intellivision Soccer when glorious color was added to the mix for the toy's giant pioneering, albeit beige, home console, the Intellivision.
Bam.
That was our very first episode, listeners. If you haven't heard it, check it out. It was a fun episode. It's a long one, but we really got into the Intellivision in that thing.
True, and this is where I can come into the story in real life. I've played that game. I think it was called NASL or something like that on the Intellivision.
Oh,
and
yeah,
the ball was stuck to your foot, like as
nasal,
the old nasal soccer.
Nasal soccer.
It was like 3-on-3. And as best as I remember, and you the ball pretty much stuck to your foot, but you know that little man, like the little symbol for that we like from the Intellivision, like you had him at least instead of it being like the Atari one. You know, right about the same time, Atari had Pele's soccer. It was sponsored by, I think, this famous player from Brazil. Like, you know, some people say like
Pele.
the best ever or whatever. An awesome dude.
Yeah.
You know, did all kinds of great, humanitarian type work, I think, as well, like after his career. But
Pele.
Yeah, but anyway, like that version on Atari, I think I played that as well, and it stuck to your foot, and I don't think there was a goaltender. I think like that's how stupid the shooting mechanic was. It's like if you could get it in the goal, you got a goal.
Hey, baby. Goal.
But yeah.
Mattel Intellivision. It says, aside from being in color, it had a memorable sleeve, too, with buyers treated to an image of a man with a simply outstanding mustache, even for the era in which the game was released.
That's probably they're talking about that. Remember when we talked about the Intellivision, how that controller had those little overlays that you slid down into it or whatever?
Yeah.
I think he's calling that a sleeve, maybe, is the only way I could make sense of that. And if it had a man with a mustache on it.
No, or just whatever the game came in.
Okay, yeah.
You know?
Okay.
Or and it probably did come with the card that went into the Intellivision control.
I thought when he said that, I was like, if that was on that thing, like then there was no help. Like you remember one of the complaints about it was they didn't do jack squat, and
they broke down pretty quickly. They'd like bend and lose form.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Continuing the quote from the article, it says, then in 1980. There was an early glimpse of the licensing trend that would gain traction in the years that followed with Atari's Pele's Soccer, which was a sort of a bit like a very aggressive game of... he's doing one of his reference again. Hold on, let me read this properly. Which was sort of a bit like a very aggressive game of tiddlywinks. Oh my gosh.
I don't even know what Tiddlywinks is. I think it was like, my grandma used to play a game called Mumbledy Peg and something like...
Bring it up.
Yeah. I can't. I don't want to take us down too crazy of a tangent, but I think it's probably a UK thing.
You want to know what Tiddlywinks is. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm picturing thumb wrestling. Let's just go with thumb wrestling for...
Okay. Dude. Okay, this is true. It says here... that 1980s monstrosity, and they're referring, I don't know why they're calling it a monstrosity, but they're calling the Pele one a monstrosity. So that's this article. I haven't played it, so I can't judge. It says, that 1980s monstrosity kickstarted the trend of making terrible football video games named after really quite good footballers. So cheers, Pele. Oh yeah, they are referencing to... many of these serve as a kind of a timestamp as to where football found itself at the moment of these games' release. To 2000's O'Leary Manager was for the Game Boy Color, for example, captures a fleeting moment where Republic of Ireland and Arsenal legend David O'Leary was one of the most exciting prospects in football management. Okay, so there was this phase, it sounds like, during the 80s, and I think it went on into the 90s as well, because I have some pictures here that I took where they were kind of just naming these soccer games after players that were in some regard gaining, that were trending at the time.
Yeah, because I want to say Arsenal's like in what's called the Premier League. They're in Europe, and
I think they're in the UEFA too, right? Or the UEFA Champions League. They play there as well, right?
I don't know that those stories like enough, but I hear them talk about it a ton, and like on I would probably butcher that, but I know that it's a big deal, like tons of fans, like ravenous fans.
Oh, dude, yeah, it's crazy, but I got some good ones here of just games that were named after players. Right, we got Bobby Charlton Soccer. Or it might be Carlton. It's probably Carlton. Bobby Carlton Soccer, 1985. That was on the BBC Micro. Whatever. I don't know what that is. Probably a UK console. 1985 as well. Glenn Hodel Soccer. That was released on the Amstrad CPC. It might be Hodel. Hope I'm not butchering that. Then we got Peter Shilton's Handball Maradona. And it's I don't know why they call it handball. If you look at the picture, like I got pictures of this stuff, it's clearly a soccer game, but they call it handball.
Really?
And I think Maradona, I think he was also a really good player.
Well, and there's that thing like if somebody's kicking it and even kind of half-ass accidentally it hits your hand, they call it a handball. I've seen that come up in a live match before, but that's weird.
But that came out in 1986 on the Commodore 64. We've got
that explains it, honestly.
Released in 1987 on the Amstrad CPC, Gary Lineker's Superstar Soccer. Oh, this one's good. Emilio Butragueño Football was released on the Amstrad CPC in 1987. Emlyn Hughes International Soccer. Just all these players, man. Just a bunch of different names on the Commodore 64, 1988.
I like how he pointed out it's almost like a timestamp where you see like where the popular opinion was at that time, as far as who was the most famous player for the times. I would expect to see like David Beckham on that list somewhere, and
oh yeah. His is in there. I was coming up to his, but what else? Let's see. I think Kickoff was a huge landmark in soccer games, because like all of the first ones were kind of like that Pong style, the very very first ones, and then the Pele style came out. And then the NASL soccer style, and that's when they kind of started moving like side scroll style, like from side to side. A lot of them. I think the very very first one that was from the top down, kind of like bird's eye view, was this. It's right here. I got it. It's called Tekon World Cup. Have you heard of that one?
I've heard of that one, and as I was like watching I watched this long video of sort of a progression as these games went through. I feel like one of the like the moment that you were able to dribble, like once you could actually kind of kick the ball along rather than it sticking to your foot, was a huge deal. And when they first put a shadow underneath the ball, like that could kind of simulate it being up in the air, like made just all the difference. In my opinion, there were kind of two. Yeah, totally. There were kind of two, marks there, and then for me, like I tried to explain this before in a previous episode, and it's kind of this could possibly be a Chuck point, but like where, I'm just kind of going crazy here, but I know for me, there's like cartoon soccer, and then there's kind of sim soccer. And in cartoon soccer, I expect to, when I kick the ball, like, I expect to be some kind of animation to happen. Whereas in just when I'm playing FIFA, I expect it to be mostly real. But if you can mix just a tiny bit of animation, like especially if like I get like sort of a one touch type thing, like almost like the one timer in hockey where someone's passed across and I do a flip and kick it. If my foot could grow, or there could be like just a little flash of light right there or something, it hits that dopamine thing in the brain, there's just a little something special to that, or it rips the back of the net or something insane. Like if I really kick it hard.
Oh yeah, totally. That remind like NBA Jam.
But there's a point. Like in a sim game, you don't want it to go too far, but you also don't want it to not be there at all. Like if something cool as hell has been done, and so it's a fine.
No man, sim games are sim games. They have to be. They have to be as realistic as possible.
Yeah, you're not alone with that. But there are like things like replays, like when a really good goal has been done. Does that rule apply in the replay? What you're saying. Like right now, like if I score a big goal in a drop-in match in FIFA 23 or whatever, most people like fast forward through the replay so you never see them. But if they were to allow it to play, one of the things they put in it is like it'll show the miles per hour and a few like stats, which I think that's a good place for it. Like it doesn't affect the realness of the game, but you get it as well.
Like in real life.
Yeah. Like if you're watching it on TV,
like you kicking the ball and it just blasting through the net isn't like real life.
I agree. Yeah,
that'd be like if on Flight Simulator, they the new like flight simulators, like the new ones are crazy realistic.
Yeah.
That'd be like adding something into that's just like
like a spaceship or something.
Like you can have like like Superman can escort you. Just flight comes up next to you. You're flying through the air. And then he just pulls up next to you. Like, what the hell, Superman?
Well, and I guess one of the reasons I bring it up here is as we're moving through this progression of the soccer games, it feels like that, they were faced with a choice. Like, and television had that sort of improved stick man. And then, you started with a little bit more blocky version of a character, almost like something out of Minecraft or something that, and did they go in the direction of making it more real, or did they go with the more cartoon sort of version of it? And I feel like both those things are incredibly hard to do. It's almost like you have to, to pick one, like as far as making, real physics versus it now like where we can actually distinguish individual players. You can say, oh dang, there's Lionel Messi, I recognize his face. Even when it's
totally. I think what's cool is, and I don't know if this is an advantage for game developers or not, but maybe it could be argued that they've always had like a guiding path. Like even in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, this thing developed. There's always like a framework that can be looked at and that they can reach towards. Like, and that is, whenever they ask themselves, the developers, how can we make our next project, our next soccer game more realistic? How can we make it better? All they have to do is look at the real life experience, right? For someone creating a game that's not a sports game, they have to have a writer. They have to, it's not that you don't have to have writers in sports games, but you know what I mean? You have to create a story. It has to be compelling. You have to create playability. You have to create, you have to do all this stuff for kind of like quote unquote from scratch. And like with soccer games, especially with FIFA, even though I think, things have changed and we'll touch on that. Every time all they got to do is be like, okay, how can we make our game more realistic? Well, what do they do for a guide? They just have to look at real life. Well, let's look at, these UEFA what is it, UEFA Champions League. Let's look at the Premier League. Let's look at the Latin American leagues. Let's look at the Pan American leagues. Let's look at the North American leagues. Like all, et cetera, et cetera. And they can just, you know what I mean? Like I think I'm making that. Like they just, it's real life is their framework. Real life is their guide.
Well, and I think one of the reasons is go ahead.
No, I just think that it's kind of an advantage that developers of, like their only limitation is the technology. So even in the 80s, if you have like on the Amiga, on the Commodore, on the Intellivision, on the, Atari, any of these, going up to Sega, going up to Nintendo, going up to PlayStation, the inspiration is abundant. It's always just been a matter of technology.
It's true. And I think, to our point earlier where I said, like, even when it was just an overlay, if you could bring that competition, from your favorite team, type thing into it. So it's a worthy, sort of avenue for them to go down to make it as much as real life as possible. But I will say, yep. like when, if I can kind of push back on that, like think about how much fun that I feel like even us, like, and I'm sure everyone has had at a foosball table, like. And it is not like real life in any stretch of the imagination, but it has its own appeal, like because it sort of becomes its own thing, but it is soccer themed, and
yep.
I don't know that it's always mattered so much about like the teams to us, but it mattered who those two people were on this side, versus.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
And you better be careful, man, because you might like what's the word? Half of our listeners might automatically not like you.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
Perfect.
Great, thanks so much.
Sounds good.
Is this what they call a pickle?
Yeah.
Are you the kind of dude that when you're at the foosball table you'll spin it?
No,
or
dude.
do you hold it tight?
Fuck no, Spinny. I will call you Spinny. In a heartbeat, dude.
Spinny.
Yeah, there's no skill to
heartbeat.
that. There's no skill to that. Yeah, exactly. I'm not saying I've never spun one.
You're not one of those dudes that'll be like, here comes the heat, bring, and you spin it.
Oh, I'll bring the heat, but the way I bring the heat is
without the spin.
I create as much leverage as I possibly can. I freaking bend my wrist back, and get my body into it, and give it the crank. And I can't say that I'm great at it. I've seen better for sure. But my point is, and the reason I bring it up right there is, yeah, it just has to be fun. And like the physics has to make sense. Like when when it looks like the ball's out of bounds, it has to show that it was out of bounds. And when it missed the goalie, it has to miss. And there's a few like fundamentals that to get that, buy into like, okay, this is a worthy competition. It may have some limitations. We're working with 1980s graphics here, but the jerseys are the right color. And, as long as it sort of works, like, when I give it the input I expect, it can be fun, even if it's shitty.
Yeah. Yeah. You mean as long as it meets the bare, the bare needed, like the minimum milestones to make it have the feel of a soccer game.
Yeah, and be fair, and consistent, like work the same way, for each of us, and that way, like it's kind of like I think people enjoy like making games for the Commodore 64 still to this day, because it's fun for a programmer to get in those limitations and see what they can do with it, and it just like. Us as video game players, we get in there and it's like, shit, this kind of works. Like you can cross it and hammer a goal in. Like there's always something satisfying to that. Like, but if the function just kind of is screwy, like it ain't gonna work. But yeah.
Well, it seems like that satisfaction that you're talking about, that buy-in, that that height or that level of soccer games didn't really come until gosh, I'm having trouble pronouncing this. The Tekken World Cup game, and Kickoff, which came out in 1989. That's when everything looked like. That's when things started to change for soccer games. Reading from that fandom.com article, it says, and this is in regards to Kickoff, quote unquote, best video game ever, screamed Amiga User magazine at the time of its release. And then, quote unquote, nothing short of brilliant, roared Personal Computer World. And they had a point. Designer Dino Dini had created a game that took a while to master, yet once it had been, it allowed for genuinely thrilling gameplay. Genuinely thrilling gameplay. That's kind of what you were talking about. Key to Kickoff's appeal was the ability to swerve the ball. And a bit what is it? Kickoff finally gave us a ball that wasn't glued to the player's feet, allowing dribbling of a fashion.
Oh.
So that's another thing you were talking about. It says, key to Kickoff's appeal was the ability to swerve the ball like the Brazilians did. He's writing here.
Bend it like Beckham, baby.
Yeah, and a bit like Nintendo's foray into the market with soccer, released for the NES in 1985, Kickoff finally gave us a ball that wasn't glued to the player's feet. Yeah. So with that Tekken game, World Cup, you have the first like bird's eye view, and then Kickoff comes out. It's also bird's eye view. But if you like, you can watch gameplay of it. Man, it looks really fun. Kickoff.
I did see a little bit of that. I think this is one of the first games I saw that had the shadow under the ball, like where I could clearly see.
Yep.
That it was moving, up in the air. It made a difference between a ground pass and a volley. Which is huge. Is really huge. Like far as it, looking cool and having that feel. It gives a 3D, sort of feel that like just makes that buy-in part, I think, so much easier.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think playability is an important one too, playability.
Mm-hmm. I think one interesting point that doesn't get talked about a lot in these articles is like, I think right around this time is when you first start seeing like a manager option. And I never think to myself, like, I'm just going to play this one in manager mode. Like, see how I manage the substitutes, but it's in every game like after a certain point, and obviously there's a whole group of folks that love that, and I'm a little dismystified by that. It's in a lot of like football games as well, American football games as well and stuff, and I'd love to hear like some feedback like why folks like that, from our listeners, if anybody's into that.
Are you into that, listener? Write us in. Let us know.
Managerial mode.
Does soccer management tickle your bits?
Yeah.
Does it get to you? Let us know.
Want to manage a podcast?
Oh gosh.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's in there though.
Yeah, there's managers for. There's a whole list, man. Remember when I saw that I was mentioning that list of soccer games that are out there on the Wikipedia? Uh-huh. Plenty of them are managers on all of the different consoles, and in PC and whatnot. When did the first FIFA game come out?
I did try to research that, and I think like technically, like far as the first World Cup game, like it was this game.
No, the first FIFA one.
What and what literally became like what we know as FIFA today, I think would be your 1993 FIFA International Soccer on the Sega Genesis. That was
the Sega Genesis. Yeah. Sega.
Featuring Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah, man. Was Sega the one that was like Sega does what Nintendo don't, or was that a different?
I don't
Or was
know.
that
I just watched this vintage
I think it was Sega that
this
said
kid
that.
had got one for Christmas. It like from that time period, and when he had his parents had him read it, and he said that's what it said on it. It said Sega Genesis featuring Sonic the Hedgehog, and
Oh man,
yeah,
God, those are great times, man.
yeah.
Jeez.
They were like, "Are you happy?" And he was like, "Yeah."
Yeah, let's go to Pizza Hut.
He was like, "Let's like this thing in."
Man,
but yeah, that's the first.
Yeah, that's right.
First I heard of the first FIFA game. I honestly, I tried to track down exactly what FIFA stood for, and dude, there are more parodies of that than there are actual information about what it stands for. and I think like how like here in America, like we put the adjective first, and other places they don't, like kind of gets
Yep.
like it makes this one a hard one, like in a little bit of a
Well, Mexico's like that, down here.
yeah. I think so. It's almost
Well, what did you find?
several things. I wanted to see what you thought it was like. Or if
Well, doesn't it mean
a common
the
parody.
Federación Internacional de Fútbol? No. Federation Internacional de Football Association? International Federal? No, that wouldn't make sense. Federation. That's right. International Association Football Federation or something like that.
Federation
Oh my gosh,
Internacional de Football Association.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah.
But
Basically.
uh,
But what did you find, man? You found some weird shit, I bet, didn't you? You got that look on your face.
not like I had like one prepared or anything, but it's like I say, when I was really trying to track it down, it seemed harder than it should have been to really get the actual.
Yep.
Yeah, I was looking here to see if I could bring any up, but I don't see any right off the bat. But yeah.
Well, that was the first one, though. You got that right. You nailed it. And then the next one was FIFA 95, FIFA 96, FIFA 97. And then they released. They probably would have released this in 1997, but it was called FIFA Road to World Cup 98. FIFA Road to World Cup 98.
And
it was released in 1997.
I want to say too,
because they always release them they always release these games at the end of the previous year.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
And I want to say, like, we hosted the World Cup in the United States in 1994, and this was kind of like they attached on to that hype, and
smart,
very
man.
smart. And I want to say the FIFA, like the World Cup was in Mexico maybe in '86, and there was actually a video game made for that. For the Commodore 64 that kind of almost gets pointed out as the first time the World Cup was involved in the soccer game. But
that makes sense.
I know for me,
that makes
there's
sense.
almost like a drought here where I don't mess with soccer games for a bit, and I pop back up around 2006 or 7 when I think FIFA 07 was probably one of the flagship games of the Xbox 360 release. And I remember plugging that thing in, and it was one of the first flat screen TVs I'd had mounted up above the fireplace, and just the crowd noise alone, dude, was so. I had this little sort of concrete, brick fireplace den area, and I could just hear it off the. Like you
mean from the game?
Yeah, the game had they had really captured what it sounds like to be at a live soccer game, and it's almost like you can't understand what's being said, but there's some kind of chant. Like sometimes, it's almost like I just sort of like impose like a pattern onto it or something. Even like you think they're singing some song that
Oh man,
yeah,
dude, like
Those
are yeah, dude. The chants. Those are really cool, like characteristics of football. You know, soccer. Association football. That's such a weird name. Yeah. Those are the characteristics or some of them that I think are really cool. You know, that like. You know, like you go to a football game, or at least I've been to one American football NFL game. I've been to one, which was really cool. It was the first and only time I've gone to a football game up there. It was amazing. You know, the energy, the stadium filled with people, everyone's screaming and yelling and rooting for the team. It was great. I didn't hear any particular songs being sang, in unison or anything like that, or any like waves or anything. I'm sure those things happen, sporadically. Maybe if you go to a different stadium on the East Coast or in the Midwest, or like, one of your games, like
they sing Rocky Top there at Tennessee.
I'm sure, But man, I have a feeling, I haven't been to a soccer game. Hopefully I'll go someday. That like, well, when you go to one of those big, like, not even World Cup, let's just say like a Champions League game or a Premier League or a Latin American, like, you're even just like here in Mexico, a local Mexico game, dude, I just feel like it's different. Like there's like this like it's like if you watch Dragon Ball Z, it's like, there's one thing when Goku's powering up, but then there's another thing when he's powering up as a Super Saiyan, it's just like it's like when you go to a soccer game, dude, one of these big ones, it's just like, oh, I can feel the energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh, yeah. And they chant and they sing, and like I know that in Mexico, like, I mean, hell, you can watch this on the. I don't know if Mexico has any more games coming up, but because they just lost against Argentina. But whenever they play, when the opposing team is like lining up for a penalty shot, everyone in the stadium that's rooting for Mexico will start going, and then when the dude shoots, they'll be like, puto! And it's like, oh, it cracks me up, dude, whenever, it's just like, gosh, there's something so
the bonding
unique.
is almost more than an NFL game somehow. I feel like I think I've been to one pro NFL game, and it almost felt like I was more to myself, almost like although we were all rooting for the Panthers, like I didn't necessarily feel that camaraderie to that extent that you're talking about. I know, it's like everyone's on board. Like,
it's nuts, man. Yeah, just like oh, and you'll hear the whole stadium just doing that, and it's just like, whoa, jeez, and dude, I can't even say that from experience. I can only say that from just like seeing it on these games, because especially down here where I live, they're all over. I see them all the time. Dude, they're in my peripherals. I just experience them passively, organically. It just happens.
I think it's a vibe. I think for a lot of those people, it's like one of the happy memories of their life, and they kind of like create that. An example of that, if you're there at El Squid Row in Cabo San Lucas, like they have like waiters that come around that are kind of soccer like soccer hooligan themed or whatever. Like, I've never been so drunk in my life. Like they were like they just it's like it's like, well, I wasn't thinking of drinking tequila, but I guess I am. There's almost like a little set of stands there, and the guy's like he was so hyped, like.
He successfully gives you a shot, and you're like, you just scored, amigo.
Go.
Good job.
It's like
I wasn't gonna have this, but you got it. You got me.
Usually, like they have a shot girl or something come by or something, and just
with a whistle,
a beer, kind of thing. But
with the whistle,
this guy, like his energy.
You're like, no, please not me, and he's coming in with a whistle.
Oh my god, dude!
Bottle of tequila in his what are those called? They have the thing with the holsters. He's got a bottle of tequila in the she's got a bottle of tequila in the holster. Comes up. Stay away. I mean, all right, we're deviating again,
dude. Yeah, I could go so far with this too. Yeah, so I'm not like what happened after the shots that I got from that man, but that's for another episode.
Yeah. So FIFA, 1993, they released that international soccer. Looks like it didn't do amazing, but with the birth of the PlayStation and more powerful processing abilities, I'm quoting from the fandom article, not to mention the use of real players' names for the first time ever, FIFA 96 announced itself as a real contender to the crown of best football video game ever, an honor that at the time was held by Konami's International Super Soccer. What Konami's game didn't have was official licensing. What it did offer, though, was arguably the most realistic, fluid, and exciting computer football experience ever. I think Konami's International Super Soccer was what would become Pro Evolution Soccer, or PES, P-E-S. And I always remember my friends, as a little kid, I remember my friends always arguing over which was better, FIFA or PES.
No kidding.
¿Cuál es mejor, güey? No, güey, yo digo que es mejor FIFA, güey. No, FIFA, no, PES, güey. La PES es mucho mejor, el PES, güey. No mames, güey. No, el FIFA. You know, just like, no, güey. No, güey, FIFA, güey. Sorry. But that's, dude, I just remember that.
No.
Mira, yo te presto FIFA, tú me prestas PES. You know, I'll lend you FIFA, you lend me Pro Evolution Soccer or whatever. Nah, güey, ¿para qué quiero esa madre? You know, that would always be sorry.
It's so accurate, dude. I love
Flashback.
No, dude. I think that's like awesome. Like I can follow that Spanish too. Like I can hear it's like you're saying no, dude. Like FIFA is like yeah.
FIFA's where it's at.
yeah.
You know, why do I want that trash? I got FIFA or whatever.
Like you know, to say like how accurate that they had that marketing figured out. Like I it's like when you said 94 there a second ago, it unlocked a memory for me that I had NHL 94 at this time, and I just exactly like you're describing. I loaned it to my cousin at one point. And like they were having so much fun playing it. When I came over to get it, like it was.
What was it on? Real quick, what was it on? PlayStation?
Dang, this is a tough. I remember it being a cartridge. It was probably on Sega, I would say, and it was either Sega or Super Nintendo. And I remember the cartridge being smaller than a Super Nintendo cartridge. So let's say Sega. I go to my cousin's house, and him and their other buddy are having so much fun playing it. They decide they're going to just tell me that they loaned it to one of the guys that was theirs brother. And I won't take it home so they can continue playing it. And dude, I started with the line of questioning that eventually they gave up the game. Like I was like, you know.
Wait, so they were trying to take it from you? Kinda? Or like
they were trying to extend the like agreed upon time period that it had been lent for. Yes.
I see.
Not necessarily like take it forever, but they, through false pretenses, tried to, and dude, there was no doing that to ChukTomahawk. I was like, so Manuel has it, like, And just went down this whole road until I got to the bottom of it and got that game. So,
man.
It was a lot of fun. It was a whole lot of fun. But so I missed this little part of FIFA. It's like I say, I don't come back until the Xbox 360. That's interesting. Do you remember playing any of those games at any of those times?
No, I never played any soccer games, in all honesty, until I went to university. By close to Mexico City in the state of Puebla. I went to university over there, and all of my buddies, man, like when they weren't in class or studying or something like that, or sometimes studying and gaming at the same time, they were always playing FIFA. Always. Yeah. I'd come back, I'd leave the campus, walk back to the apartment we were staying at, and then boom, doors open. They're all sitting there playing FIFA, dude. There might be a pizza, on the table. Or some, some sort of paraphernalia, who knows? And they're all just like, going at it hard, man. Gosh, man. And so it became a if you can't beat them, join them situation for me. So I eventually got the hang of it, and this was on the PlayStation 3, I think. Got the hang of it. And it was right around World Cup 2010. Was that in South Africa? Yeah.
I can't remember.
Because the next one was in Brazil.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? I think so.
That's when they started getting really good. I hear 2012 like touted as the best one ever sometimes.
There wasn't one, there couldn't have been one in 2012.
What's that? The FIFA 2012?
I'm talking about World Cups. World Cup 2010 was South Africa.
Right. Not necessarily the, like sometimes they.
Oh, you mean the games, the FIFA games.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Continuing from the article, Konami didn't have, what it did offer was the realistic, fluid, exciting computer game experience ever, and that was the International Super Soccer by Konami. After a rebrand, they did. Okay, so they rebranded to Pro Evolution Soccer, and they released a new game in 2001 called Pro Evo. So far ahead of the pack, it was like Manchester City had been drafted into the Scottish Premier League. He's making a joke there. But I guess, yeah, so that was like a huge advancement, the Pro Evolution Soccer Pro Evo. Let's see. What else do we got here?
And do you ever remember playing any of those, like these 90s time frame ones at any point, anywhere?
No, I remember seeing in arcades and at like, I don't know if you remember me talking about in a prior episode, those arcades in Cabo and and stuff like that called Recorcholis.
They had a trackball type thing going on at that time in the arcades, I want to say, that was real popular, like Virtua Striker or something maybe.
Yeah, man. Okay, now, and again, I don't want to get too lost track, too off the ball here, but from the 80s onward to now, it seems like there's been levels of contenders in the franchises of soccer games. There's no doubt that FIFA is number one, and we'll see what happens. That may change. The tides are turning. Mm-hmm. The tables are turning, rather, and so are the tides. But, up to date, it's always been FIFA, and the rivalry has been PES or Pro Evolution Soccer and FIFA, which I think Pro Evolution Soccer rebranded again to eFootball. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of been the main rivalry. But throughout the times, there's always been these like levels, and Virtua Striker has been one of those like contenders. Mm-hmm. There was a rivalry between Kickoff and Sensible Soccer. That's another franchise, Sensible Soccer, which was like a contender. So there's been, I think there's another one called, there's been contenders, but there's another one called, let me look for this. I got it in the pictures. That's also, Japan is a big name in soccer games. They've got tons of soccer games that they've released. But the one I'm looking for is, did I not? Yeah, I did. Captain Tsubasa. That's a huge franchise. The Captain Tsubasa on PlayStation, 1995. They had tons of games, man. So they were a big contender. It was a different style soccer game. But anyways,
more cartoon-like in some way, maybe?
More cartoon-like, yeah.
Yeah, I almost feel like,
exactly.
if not to take us in a too crazy direction, it's almost like in the evolution of soccer games, you have to sort of say that, because I'm going to say one of my favorite experiences in a soccer type game is Rocket League, dude. And it is not, it's soccer.
Oh, that's
with
not
cars.
Even. That's not even.
It's a ball. It has nets. I mean. I'm going to steel man the case for why that's a soccer game.
For Rocket League?
There's a ball right there. There's a goal.
Yeah.
Okay, there's no goalie. You're right. But, yeah.
You're not going to convince me on this one, man.
Okay, but there is Mario Soccer and all sorts.
Sonic Soccer.
Yeah.
I remember seeing a Sonic type of one. I remember seeing a Looney Tune type of soccer game.
Yeah, Rocket League is on the fringe for sure, but somewhere between the sim and there is like another experience that can be really fun. Even in the newest FIFA, there's like a street ball type version. I think it's called Volta.
Yeah.
Kind of almost brings some of that into the mix.
And there's this guy. He was a code master, it looks like. No. His name was Gary Patterson. This guy worked for EA. He worked on the FIFA games, and he basically was really good at coding and stuff like that. And it's like, hey, guys, management, FIFA management, let's make these changes right here. I think you should change these few things, and it'll really make the game better. And I'm quoting here from the article. It says, and this is what this coder said, Gary Patterson. He said, I wrote a 4 or 5 page document on concepts and methodologies I'd seen in the FIFA code and he said to the management, here's some stuff I've seen in the code. I think you're getting about some of these things in the wrong way, and here's what I'd change. He told the Telegraph last year. He says, I was a little bullshit, and he was promptly installed as the lead gameplay engineer and lead designer of FIFA 2007, arguably the year FIFA caught up with Pro Evolution Soccer, if not took it over. Mm-hmm. So it was right around that 2006, 2007 turn of those years when they overtook Pro Evolution Soccer. And
oddly enough, that's when they got my attention again. Like I say, at the release of the Xbox 360, I remember having, I think it was FIFA 06, and that's the game I was talking about that had those chants in the background. And, I had this little sunken den area, and I just remember having a blast down there playing that game, dude. It was really fun. It wasn't, I didn't play against people, like live people. I just played matches as best as I remember. I don't know that was, I don't remember multiplayer being a huge part of the equation, but super fun.
It's a great game to play with other people, man.
It is.
It's really good game for that.
Yeah, I mean that's the way I play it today. But in those days it was a little harder to make happen.
I've never been I've never been a fan of football or soccer or association football, whatever you want to call it, Chuck. Whatever you want to call it. I've never been a fan, man. I remember playing it in elementary school and just not enjoying it. I was like, ugh, dude, it just wasn't, I didn't do well. I wish, in retrospect, even though, I don't blame myself because I was a little kid, I could have given it some more effort, but, it just didn't work. I didn't enjoy it. And even, living down here in Mexico, it's definitely like the number one sport of the nation, right there with baseball, but it's definitely above baseball, Mm-hmm. It's all around, but I never got into it. But man, when I went to university and I had my roommates and everything and was just like exposed to it like that, and it also lined up with World Cup 2010. Yeah. So I was with them in uni when that happened. So, I think when you experience it that way, it's different.
Yeah.
So I became a hyper fan. Like I became a mega fan for that whole, time frame. Like during uni, I was a fan of soccer. Like I was really into it. And then when I wasn't around those guys anymore, and I moved back to where I am now, I just kind of don't watch anymore. I watched the game yesterday.
You watched the Mexico Argentina game?
Yeah.
Is Argentina like just as tough as it sounds?
Yeah, dude, Messi's a savage.
Oh, Jesus, yeah. Yeah,
he's a savage, man. He's a demon.
That's a tough group because I think Poland's even ahead of Argentina, even. So, Jesus.
Yeah.
In the group. So, yeah, that's a savage ass group. What, Saudi Arabia is the other one, maybe?
Yeah, well, hey, speaking of groups, man, do you have any predictions for our listeners, man? I heard ChukTomahawk's got the hot predictions, man. You know exactly.
I want to
who's gonna win?
Like just
the World Cup.
Just go to
2022.
EA Sports has they've correctly predicted the last 3 winners from the 2010, the 2014, and the 2018 World Cups. Like, and I think is the way I take it, when they get all the who's going to be on what team, and they kind of adjust the dials as far as each individual player, they give it its attributes, and they run a simulation. Like there's no one controlling the players or managing the team or anything like that. It's strictly sort of a computer simulation of it. And
they've probably got Lex Friedman in a back room running the AI.
The AI is off the charts here.
I got this.
Just letting it do its,
I'll let you know who's going to win.
But they're predicting that Argentina defeats Brazil in the final by 3-2. Yeah.
Damn, dude. And what give it a 5-star rating of the accuracy of that, in terms of your agreement or non-agreement with that prediction. 5-star being totally agree, 1-star being I completely disagree.
I would say it's in the 4.2 range.
Well, you.
Back to my earlier reference.
Okay, is that it? Okay, I'll let it stand. It works.
4 would be the answer I think you were looking for. But
can we round down? Yeah.
Just if going back to what I was saying earlier. But I where my thoughts go in this, I get super excited about like how good they must be representing that, and how much flexibility they must have in those little dials that they're turning to get these attributes established. I have a peek into the window, like you've heard me mention pro clubs being my favorite part of this game, and where you build your own character. So I have an idea of what those dials look like that they're turning, and obviously they're really doing it well. To even be close on this. Like if honestly, it would surprise me even if they, it was like we missed it by 2 games. Like the team, we thought Brazil would win, but they got eliminated right before the final or something, would still be like, damn, you about got that. Like, cause I think you and I both follow American football, have our favorite teams, and like, it doesn't always go like you predict. And, any given Sunday, anything can happen, sort of.
It usually goes how I predict, unfortunately, for my team. But I see what you're getting at.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's exciting that they predict that. They go like even further and sort of like predict the man of the match, and I think they sort of select an all tournament team, and that's how detailed. It's not just a sort of team based sort of approach, like in a general sense. Like they really break this thing down.
It would be interesting to talk to the people that program the stats and the attributes and the pros and cons and the weaknesses of each player in the FIFA games. Mm-hmm. Because if they're the ones that set those measurements and mechanics and stuff, it'd be interesting to talk to them to see if it wouldn't be a very it'd probably be a biased conversation because they already know the result of their own prediction that they programmed. But it'd be interesting to see what their thoughts on it are, because they're the ones programming those stats, that the whatever AI they're using that processes all that information and spits out a prediction. Mm-hmm. They're the most familiar with those numbers and those that data. So it'd be cool to talk to them and see what they think.
Yeah, well,
it'd be interesting. It would be really interesting, man, if it had come up with a prediction that was completely unpredictable. A prediction that would be completely unpredictable, and for it to win, that would be fascinating. Because it's like for it to predict Argentina when we got someone like Lionel Messi. Yeah. It's like, well, yeah. And if it predicts who's going to be the strongest player,
the golden boot, yeah.
Who's that going to be? Messi.
Mm-hmm.
But can you imagine if it came up with like something like completely, just like what, like what's a random
Luxembourg.
country that
some tiny
is Luxembourg
country,
not good?
Just some really small country, that statistically doesn't have the.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to say though, Chuck, because any of those European or Eastern European or Northern European countries, dude, they're filled with demons, dude. They're all savages in soccer. Yeah. That's what's like something about that I remember being a topic of conversation back with my uni buddies was how Europe would buy, the best players while producing the best players.
True. I would say
I remember,
if it predicted the United States would be a great. If it predicted we were going to win, it would be way out of the line.
You're right. Yeah. Not to but in terms of like just realistic, like objective prediction, like for it to spit out something like maybe Canada or the United States would be like, no, yo no sé.
Maybe.
Posiblemente. But you know, and then for Canada or the US to win, that would be like, that'd be badass, man. Yeah. That would be a really cool prediction, though.
It would, and I'm thinking too, like, what if I'm like sort of an up and coming player, and you know, I'm kind of like, hey, mom, dad, like, I'm going to be in the new FIFA game, like, you know, let's check it out, and like,
check it out,
like we whip it out, and like, you know, my stats are just not where I feel like they should be. I feel like, you know, it's like, what, I got a 67 on freaking, you know, agility.
Oh yeah,
your character's all falling down.
I've heard there's been players out there that actually, like, I don't know if they fully fledged sued FIFA, but they definitely confronted FIFA, but not agreeing with the stats that they had been given.
Yeah.
Hey, I just pulled up the EA. I'm going to read this from the EA page. So it's firsthand information here. It says, the world's biggest football tournament is back. 4 years after France lifted the iconic FIFA World Cup trophy, 32 nations are preparing to test themselves on the global. Whoa. Did you hear that?
I did.
Damn, man, that Jake break. Sorry, listeners. That's the... that was a loud one. Holy shit. I'm not going to edit that out. That was funny.
Wonder what he's hauling.
That was a loud Jake break.
Hauling something serious. Like.
Yeah, he's like, I better slow down. Beer store on the left. Hay cerveza. Alto. Jeez. Sorry. So down here, everyone's still working off an upset from yesterday. Oh, yeah. Anyways, let me read that again. So, yeah. After correctly predicting the last three winners in 2010, 2014, and 2018, we've used EA Sports FIFA 23 with groundbreaking Hypermotion 2 technology and the dedicated FIFA World Cup 2022 ratings in FIFA World Cup kickoff and tournament modes to simulate all 64 matches and see who will come out on top come December.
Boom.
So obviously we are already in the World Cup, but we're not quite to December. Let's see. Read on for the official EA. Okay, yeah, we'll read on. Let's see. It says, the stage was set for two of football's greatest rivals to meet for the first time in a FIFA World Cup since 1990 and the first time ever in the final. They're talking about their simulation. Mm-hmm. Unsurprisingly, it was another tense game that was decided by a single goal, but it was the, what does that say? Albiceleste that sent their nation into euphoria as Lionel Messi scored his 8th goal of the tournament to give his country their first FIFA World Cup title since 1986, their third overall, and filled in the last remaining spot in his trophy cabinet. Okay, so in a simulated game, it looks like they're doing these simulations with actual games. Like they're playing the game in FIFA.
Oh, absolutely, right? Yeah. Yeah, I think they set up the tournament
okay.
and just let it run. You know, nobody's controlling the players or managing anything.
Oh, that's fascinating, dude. I thought they just like typed in some stuff into like some like huge old school NASA style like tube computer that would be like
just statistically crunched it.
And little paper spools would be going and it'd spit out a little paper and you'd read it and it'd say Argentina. Like, oh,
but of course,
right, we got a prediction. You know, okay, my bad.
No.
It's like reading this. I was like, oh, they actually. Oh, sorry, I just bumped the microphone. They actually simulate the games.
Yeah. Yeah, like I say, once they get all the you know, those sliders where they feel like they belong, you know, and for each individual player, they let her roll. And you know, it pumps out a result there, and you know, it even says like who got the golden boot, the golden ball, I think the golden glove,
the stats
team of the tournament, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm looking at the rankings. It has Argentina in first, Netherlands in second, France in third, then the United States in fourth place. Dude, that's really good considering, man. Like, the world stage of national soccer
that,
teams.
Yeah, that Pulisic cat, that like our best player. He's kind of a midfield, like a shooting midfielder. Yeah, he's like the games I've watched. He's the go-to dude. Like whenever they pass the ball, sort of when we're getting fairly close to goal, like one pass away from scoring, like he's the dude that has the ball. Like he's the one that.
Oh wait, these are okay. You're right. These are top scorers. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
I didn't mean to interrupt.
like individual. Yeah, those are ranks of like the players of the tournament type. Stats.
Okay.
I guess like.
I see.
Yeah, that Pulisic dude is good, man. He's like 24, I think. He's out of Pennsylvania, maybe, but probably plays in the Premier League. I want to say for one of the teams there in the United Kingdom.
Interesting. Okay. So that's the prediction, fellow listeners, fellow gamers, coming at you from FIFA.
Yeah, I'd say it'd be a good move to put money on that one. They're not just shooting from the hip.
Are you advising our listeners to gamble, Chuck? Is that what you're
maybe
doing?
A friendly wager. Like how about just the bragging rights or something?
And well, I mean, based off the record, there's a 3-0 record of successful predictions. So,
no doubt.
Yeah. Aren't there like legal places too where you can gamble? Like, isn't there a app? It's like a super popular app. I'm always hearing it on the podcast I listen to. What's it called? Theo Von also like
DraftKings or FanDuel.
DraftKings, that's it. Yeah. DraftKings, right. DraftKings.com.
I've done that
whatever,
for a lot of NFL games, but I've never done it for soccer. But I guarantee it's there, and I'm always kind of torn on that. Like it does kind of make it more exciting, but most people that I've ever seen that done it are just like cursing the TV, like in some way. Like it doesn't look like a real fun experience. I think that Uncut Gems movie that has Adam Sandler in it is like a great example of gambling going wrong, kind of like that. It's a great movie.
So what else do we got, Chuck? I mean, that's pretty much like a rough history of the soccer games. Those are kind of like the milestones. Mm-hmm. The truth is there's just, I don't want to say there's thousands of soccer games, but it might be up in that like lower thousands range. When I look at the lists, it's definitely in the multiple hundreds of soccer games. And there's kind of like, like you said, there's cartoony style ones. There's like dramatized, boosted soccer games that are still on the realistic edge. There's, there's certainly a ton of Japanese soccer games that come with their own unique, Japanese styles and characteristics and influences and stuff, like with a little bit of that anime touch in a lot of them, like especially with that one I mentioned, that franchise of Captain Sue something, I don't remember. But man, tons of them out there. But I mean, those are kind of like the milestones, from original soccer in 1974 to the Pele style that came out, which kind of changed things and switched things up, to the Tekken
television. I think kind of took it to the next level there.
Took it to the next level. The Kickoff was like a huge milestone. Mm-hmm. Which came out, wasn't that in 1989? Kickoff came out, mm-hmm. And that was a huge step because, like you said, the ball had a shadow. There was like now a dribbling effect.
Mm-hmm. Seemed like sensible soccer after that. Kind of improved on that, and I think all roads sort of lead to the FIFA era when it gets to this. Once we get there, it just gets better and better. It's kind of like. I think we've kind of skimmed over this topic a little before, and I think like one of the jokes was like how small the change is from each version each year to the next, but you add all those up, 25 years of it, it's way the hell funner now. It is super realistic.
Oh man, it's unreal.
Yeah.
Like it's nuts.
And I, honestly, I don't necessarily. I'm not saying there's no improvements, but from it sounds like the time, when you had probably your best experience with it, 2010 era, like the fundamentals were there at that point. And I feel like. It's still kind of what we're dealing with today. Today, like they may have made the grass more realistic and the net whip a little better or something here, but
new modes.
Different, like skill games and stuff to practice with and all that. But the framework was there, and dude, people have been loving it like for years. I don't know the stats like to back it up, but I know this is the most popular game in the world, like video game in the world.
I definitely think like it's probably one of the most successful, if not the most successful, video game sport genre franchise. Mm-hmm. Like I'm looking at an article now on the gamesindustry.biz website. It was an article written by a guy named James Batchelor back in February 2021, so last year. It says down here that the FIFA franchise, has now sold more than 325 million units over its lifetime, with player count for FIFA 21 already tracking ahead of the record-breaking FIFA 20. 325 million units. So that's up there.
Yeah, that's a lot of units.
A lot of well, that's not, I don't know why that kind of sounded weird. But anyways,
what? One of the things I love about this game is how it brings different cultures together. I remember at one point, I think 2011, I did a backpacking trip with a buddy from work there in Europe, and I remember like reading about these hostels and things we were getting ready to try to check out and things, and I remember
they're called hostels, Chuck. Hostels
and whatever you said, but it would say like hey, we stayed there and played FIFA with some guys from Germany and made some new friends, like kind of thing. I love how even if it's that we argue that that it should be called soccer or whatever, it's kind of like a common point that you can share with folks, and I love that part about it.
It's the world sport, if you ask me, because, man, all you need is like 2 rocks and a ball.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe 4 rocks and a ball. You eat 2 rocks on one side to create the goal, 2 rocks on the other side to create the goal, and then a ball of sorts.
Yeah, it's very inclusive in that fashion.
Anyone can play it, man.
Yeah. What's interesting is my experience. We had Little League soccer there, even in my little town, and I didn't enjoy it at all. Like, I couldn't get over the fact you couldn't use your hands. Like, I'm pretty sure I used my hands for a good bit. Like, I had to be told that more than once. Like, unless you were the goalie, you couldn't pick the ball up. And I was a big kid.
That was one of the things that got to me when I was a little kid. I'm like, I'm over this. Can't touch the ball. Some dumb freaking stupid. Over it.
Yeah.
But got a couple of recommendations here. Like, I mean, basically, if you play FIFA after a certain year, you're gonna have, what is arguably one of the better soccer video game experiences. Same with Pro Evolution Soccer. I think as of, like you were saying, in that 2010 range, up to, I mean, there's milestones, of course, but you're getting a good soccer game experience up, past that. If you want to play something that's not a FIFA game, Game Rant article here, GameRant.com, test 10 best soccer games that aren't FIFA. You can check out these. You got Pro Evolution Soccer, of course. 2017 is the one that they're throwing up here. Pro Evolution Soccer 2017. Football Manager 2010. Speaking of manager games, Chuck. Yeah. Worldwide Soccer Manager 2005, coming in at number 8. World Soccer Winning 11-9, coming in at number 7. First Touch Soccer coming in at number 6.
Nice.
International Superstar Soccer 98, coming in at number 5. World Soccer Winning 11-8 International, coming in at number 4. World Soccer Winning 11-7 International, coming in at number 3. World Soccer Winning 11-6 International, coming in at number 2. And coming in at number 1, ISS Pro Evolution. Huh. So there's a bunch of names. And, yeah, man.
It kind of inspires me to play a Pro Evolution title. I haven't veered outside of, since, when I kind of came back into the scene there in 2006-07 time frame, I've pretty much primarily played the EA Sports game. So yeah, that'd be fun to try.
So speaking of games that aren't FIFA, I got a list, man, of my top 5 after researching this topic. My top 5, I'm just gonna say weirdest / funniest, but I'm mostly weirdest. Just top 5 weirdest named soccer games.
Do tell.
Out of all of the soccer games that I saw, man.
Okay.
Which again, we're hundreds, listeners. There's hundreds of soccer games out there for every console you can think of. PC, DOS, all of it. It's out there. Coming in at number 5. Should I start from the bottom or
start
at
the bottom?
No, yeah. Let's start at the bottom. Coming in at number 5, we've got Great Soccer.
What more needs to be said? This is great.
And that's, again, released on the Master System, which was the Sega in 1986. Okay, let me find number 4 here. I should have been more prepared here for this, but again, this is top quality podcasting here. This is the best you're gonna find. Let's see.
Let me cough into the mic while you're looking. Perfect.
Ooh, that might have to be an honorable mention. Here we go. Coming in at number 4, released in 1995 on the first PlayStation, we have Captain Tsubasa J. Get in the Tomorrow.
What the
Again, released on the PlayStation in 1995, Captain Tsubasa J. Get in the Tomorrow.
What in the world? Is that coming out of Japan? Maybe.
Yep. That's why there's a J. It's just a random J. Captain Tsubasa J. ... Get in the Tomorrow, as if the tomorrow was like a vehicle or something that you could get in. I love it. I think it should stay just like that. Coming in at number 3, released on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System in 1995, Fever Pitch Soccer.
It
feels like you're, like when you're just really sick, but you want to play video games.
Yeah, you get to go have to take
but
a
you're
break.
like, God, do I have the energy? I got a fever.
I'm almost picturing like me playing and my dad having to come in there and tell us like, you guys are gonna have to calm down. It's getting a fever pitch in here. Like we're just slamming buttons.
Let's see here. Let me find our number 2. Let's see. This one should be. This is a good one. Here it is. Coming in at number 2, released on PC in 1992, Human Sports Festival.
Was it like arranged by some aliens or something? Like we're gonna get the humans get some exercise. Let's have a human sports festival.
That was a good one. Human Sports Festival. Okay. Let me find our number 1 weirdest / funniest soccer game name. This is number 1, right? Did I just say that? Yeah. Coming in at number 1, created in 1996 by Neo Geo, we have Pleasure Goal, 5-on-5 mini soccer. Again, 1996. Neo Geo, Pleasure Goal, 5-on-5 mini soccer.
Holy shit! I know what a threesome and a foursome is, but what's a 5-on-5 called?
Well, it's a mini soccer, and apparently it's a pleasure goal. So,
you're not coming away from that without something that you can't wash off. I'm pretty sure.
Oh God, yeah. Roger, yeah, and that's definitely one of those, two quarter, not 1 quarter games.
No doubt.
That was a 50-cent game right there. Especially if you want to get that pleasure goal.
No doubt.
It's going to take 2 quarters to get the pleasure goal,
and it's going to be worth it. Like you're not going to mind at all. Wow.
Oh, gosh.
Wow. Yeah, those are some good ones.
Honorable mentions: Hat Trick Hero S. Peter Shilton's Handball Maradona, which we mentioned that one earlier, and Formation Soccer Human Cup 90. Like I said, listeners, these games are just coming out like every week. They were naming them they had some really funny names coming out.
I can't remember if it was a movie or I think I saw one that was like Soccer Moms Gone Wild. No, you're right. That was definitely a movie.
No, that was it. Yeah. I think that was on one of those like direct TV channels that were up in the 900s. The ones that you weren't supposed to go to.
Oh my God. You had to call in to get like
before
permission.
streaming.
Yeah.
Yeah. The picture would be blurred out for the most part.
Oh yeah.
We're going off topic.
The Cinemax ones, yeah. I've ordered a few and I tell my dad like I just didn't know what happened. Like it wasn't me. Like I was trying to like watch the nature channel.
It said clean up image by pressing OK. I hit OK. Yeah. I didn't realize it said may require credit card authorization.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just kidding. So hey, I think we should finish off the episode by discussing the future of EA and FIFA. But before that, I wanted to find some like cool, interesting stories, see if there's anything out there that just kind of like caught the eye regarding FIFA and video gaming and, just anything really. I was just kind of like looking for anything. And I ran into, thanks to a Game Ranks video, which again, I love that channel. If you check it out for great gaming stuff. Great gaming news and reviews and stuff like that. But they talked about a scandal, a wire fraud that happened back in 2016 regarding FIFA coins. What are FIFA coins, Chuck? You're a FIFA player.
I am.
You're a pro.
I don't play that part of the game, but as part of our research, I kind of read into that, and the way I take it is like there's a mode in there, and I want to say it's called. The short for it is FUT, but
what did you just call me?
FIFA Ultimate Team, I think is what it's called. Yeah. And it's almost got like sort of a Pokemon card like part to it, like where you get these packs and you can, I think, earn points and you can earn coins for different things that milestones that you reach in the game, and maybe even buying some like a micro purchase with EA, and once you have the money to get that pack, there's a lot of like reveal videos, like where guys like he's gotten that pack and he gets like if he gets Messi or somebody, he's like off the chain, like just like over the moon, because
off the chain.
Yeah, it's gonna be like it's like all right, and so that's what I take, like it's a big money maker for EA, kind of your downloadable type thing, after the sale type transaction, microtransaction in the game where people buy these points and
for real money.
Yeah, kind of like the Call of Duty points.
I see.
Like I want to say in that case, it's like $9.99 get you, so like maybe a couple thousand points or something.
Well, dude, man, these guys. I'll just read from the article here. Again, I got this from the Game Ranks video, but they point out an article called from thelines.com. It was written back in 2016, but it was updated in 2018. It says, man convicted of wire fraud, bilking EA of $16 million worth of FIFA coins. So
16 million?
It says 4 U.S. men wrote computer software that allowed them to eagerly obtain millions of dollars in virtual currency related to a sports video game, and then sold that currency for liquid cash, according to a statement from the Department of Justice. And their indictment was unsealed. I went and read it. You can read the actual court indictment. It looks all official and everything. State of Texas versus these dudes. I think it was in Texas. So it says prosecutors presented evidence at. Wait, let me go back. Sorry, reading from the article. Quote: the U.S. Attorney's Office of the Northern District of Texas on Wednesday convicted 24-year-old Anthony Clark of Whittier, California, on one count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud in connection to his involvement in a FIFA coin scandal. Prosecutors presented evidence at a recent 3-day trial that indicates Clark and 3 co-conspirators defrauded Electronic Arts, the maker of the popular FIFA soccer game series of coins.
Jesus.
And then it goes on to describe how the Ultimate Teams works. Basically, I think the gist of it here is that they don't. It says coins are not sold by EA for cash, but that they do sell points. Mm. So there's a microtransactional mechanic here, and I think EA has plenty of microtransaction fame as it is. Mm-hmm. But so just keep that in mind. There's a microtransaction dynamic here that is getting exploited. And it says, reading on, it says Clark conspirators acquired $16 million in coins. Prosecutors have said Clark and his co-conspirators at some point beginning in 2013 created software that fraudulently logged thousands of FIFA football matches within a matter of seconds. Resultantly, EA credited the 4 men with so many improperly earned FIFA coins that they were able to turn around and sell them for $16 million, prosecutors said. Man, dude.
And people bought them, is what I think is one of the amazing parts of that. That's the thirst to get them packs and get that badass player on your team.
Damn, yeah, dude. It's multiple accounts, all simulating a high volume of matches, would farm points and share them with a master account. At one point, the group boasted it acquired 67 million coins through the process in 1 hour. Authorities seized approximately $3 million from multiple bank accounts registered in Clark's name, as well as 2 cars found at his home. Authorities also seized assets from 7 separate accounts connected to Sphere, one of his conspirators. It's unclear if Eric and Janet these are other conspirators, but apparently they bought a house in Sarasota, Florida in 2015 for $2 million. Yeah. It was like a fully planned deal here. Isn't that nuts, dude?
That the money was that much is nuts to me. And like I say, that I forget exactly how they sold it to the third party. That I know there's some websites out there where you can go and kind of purchase these things, and yeah, that's crazy dollars, dude. That tells you, wonder what FIFA's making off what they're actually selling in the legit way.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it's such a huge.
Or even EA
there's
Sports.
There's documentaries about
I think I said
FIFA scandals and stuff.
I said FIFA, but I'm thinking more when I say FIFA. I'm thinking of the EA Sports, FIFA franchise. They're when is this time period that they've had the license. Dude, that was smart of them to make that part of the game. Oh
man, it's just such a world This is going to sound weird, like a world of worlds, I suppose, because like you got the gaming world and industry, you've got the soccer industry, you know, and then there's FIFA, right? Because like managing those three balls, because like you got to have this relationship with this organization that's extremely powerful. Like I think there's more countries affiliated with FIFA than there are with the United Nations. And you can fact check me on that, B.
I think you're dead on.
Think about that. There's more countries affiliated with FIFA than there are recognized in the United Nations.
Oh yeah, and probably more
Nuts.
individuals that have an opinion about, you know, how it should be rather than, you know, what the United Nations is even doing. Like everyone, you know, has their opinion about what, you know, would make our soccer team better, you know, or you know, that's crazy.
It is. And so, yeah, FIFA and then EA and then their relationship and everything, and its worldwide reach and influence, and then maybe direct or indirect relationship to World Cup. There's so much going on there. You know what I mean? It could be talked about for hours on end, and I mean that kind of is a good opportunity for us to segue into what is the future. You know, just to wrap up this awesome episode. What is the future of EA and FIFA and their soccer games? You as a frequent player of FIFA games, what do you think?
I can't believe they're still together after all this shit.
I like that. Yeah, I wasn't expecting you to say that, but now that I think about it, you're right, dude. No franchises last that long, or you know, like relationships last that long.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase that. No relationships in the video game industry tend to last that long, because FIFA's going to last forever how long it lasts. That's its own separate thing. It doesn't need the video game world to exist. Just like EA doesn't need FIFA to exist for EA to continue to produce video games. But that relationship they have, that licensing contract and agreement, lasted forever.
Yeah, it is a monopoly of sorts, and I'm kind of joking, I guess, when I say that, obviously, but I do kind of feel that way, like I'm ready for, you know, a new thing. As much as I love, you know, what you hear me talk about, like the pro clubs part of the game and that kind of thing. Like I'm excited to see where that goes. Like I think this will, you know, probably force me to experience that other game and you know, the Pro Evolution, you know, version of if they do get the contract, or if there's.
Dude, I don't know that they'll necessarily get the contract. And you'll have to apologies. You'll have to describe what you mean by that about getting the contract. But
yeah, if they get to be associated with FIFA, and
are you saying that FIFA's in business?
As I take it, they're going to just, instead of there being one exclusive owner of this sort of you know, being able to assign, you know, the World Cup sort of version of the game, and that there will be no more exclusive rights to that, and then that's where EA and them split ways. Like once EA realized they couldn't have it exclusively anymore, they said, you know, F you guys, like we don't want it, and now it's going to be out there, and you know, as I take it, there's going to be a new kid on the block, a new sheriff in town, and it's, in my prediction, you know, where does it go from here? When we ask that question, it'll be Pro Evolution. They'll you know, step forward. Konami will make a game.
Konami.
We'll make a game. A new soccer game.
My God. Dude, I'm taking you so seriously, and then you go and drop that on me, dude.
What?
I love you so much. I know. It's just it's your accent. I love your accent. I don't want it to change. But you got to forgive me when it catches me off guard.
Yeah, you're right. No,
I think you're right.
Cool. I kind of, I'm excited for it. I mean, at first, I kind of, you know, I think it's always like you want to, you know, kind of cling to the status quo, and you know, obviously it's working what they're doing, and there's a slight chance it'll suck, afterwards. And
I mean, that's the thing, man. It's like FIFA's now video game lists in terms of like they can approach whoever they want. It seems like EA, based off what I've seen, EA already decided what they're doing. They're creating EA Football FC or EA Soccer FC or something like that. That's going to be their new thing. At least that's what it looks like. We'll see it. In fact, if I read from the FIFA wiki, it literally says future. After EA Sports and FIFA failed to reach an agreement, which I gotta be honest with you, I can totally see the Pro Evolution Soccer board of directors, up there on the day, like on the day that EA and FIFA were going to decide which way to go. Like they were just, all the Pro Evolution people were in there just like waiting for the news. And someone busts open the door. The deal fell through, and everyone in the Pro Evolution Soccer room just going, fuck yeah, baby. All the times they are changing.
Gather around, people. Have a hero. Yeah, no, you're right.
They're just all happy and they're celebrating now that they're going to get a chance to, get a little breathing room after the, like you said, monopoly of FIFA games.
True, and I think too we're like entering into an age like when we were talking about that game Blight, like where two guys were kind of making that in their spare time or whatever. I wonder if there's not, like some up and coming, guy out there that, has access to, maybe the source code from these previous games and also, an engine to build this thing in and there are one of the things like when I'm actually playing the FIFA game that I want to not go crazy with talking about is there are it's not so much like an animation like a cartoon, but I do feel times where my character gets taken over. It's kind of like I've pushed A, to give the header and someone else has done something and it's determining like who won that battle, like far as who pushed first, and I'm not the one controlling my character for these brief seconds, and I long for a game that I have just completely full control, where you'd have to play the game to kind of I'm not doing a great job of articulating what I'm saying, but like there are times like say maybe two guys are passing it on my opponent and I hit B to intercept that pass. Like I literally feel my character getting taken over by the game and get put into where he needs to be to intercept that pass, and just to make it all still kind of line up.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
And I would rather it just be completely free, where if I get there to intercept it, it's solely because I pushed the right direction.
Dude, sales would drop.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Sales would drop.
Oh, I know.
Rage quitting would increase.
I'm sure there's some program out there. It's like, be careful what you wish for there, Chuck. Like,
I was just thinking that, man.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's kind of a little tangent I feel about that. Like what makes me excited that there might be a new developer doing it. And I love crosses. Like I love, I want it to be hard to score. I don't want to see 14 to 13 matches, or whatever. I think like if they're scoring more than 5 goals in a game, like it's kind of like it's too easy to score at that point.
Yep. It says that after they failed to reach an agreement over licensing fees for the use of the FIFA name, FIFA 23 will be the last installment of the game developed by EA Sports under the name FIFA. After this, EA Sports will continue to release football games under the title EA Sports FC beginning in 2023, while FIFA has stated an intention to enter a partnership with a new developer to produce the only authentic real game that has the FIFA name. Ooh. While FIFA has stated an intention to enter a partnership with a new developer to produce, quote, the only authentic real game that has the FIFA name, end quote. Damn. In 2024, it will be considered the major new FIFA game. Damn, Chuck. EA Sports FC will feature exclusive partnerships with the Premier League, La Liga, Bundesliga, Serie A, and the MLS. FIFA President Gianni Infantino stated, "I can assure you that the only authentic, real game that has the FIFA name will be the best one available for gamers and football fans. Along with the FIFA name is the only global original title. FIFA 23, FIFA 24, FIFA 25, and FIFA 26, and so on. The constant is the FIFA name, and it will remain forever and remain the best," he quoted. Damn. Shots fired.
Pow, pow. No doubt.
Hit the deck.
Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely throwing some shade there. And I think it's exciting in some way to see that you know they're that serious about it, and yeah, we'll kind of see where it's going to go. But one thing I don't like is like it dividing the playership. Like I've noticed, like even recently, like one thing I do in that pro clubs is they'll have these drop-in matches, and right below it, it'll show how many players are currently playing, and where it used to be 10,000, like lately it's been around 6, and when I say 10,000, that was like in FIFA 20 or something. I remember, really been into that one, and I don't think it's that there are fewer players playing that game. I think it's fewer players are playing that part of that game, but I don't want to see that. The people that are playing my part of the game, I don't want to see us fractured into 2 titles. Like I want,
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, it's hard to know if what you were looking at meant anything really.
Right.
Because as you know how servers work, you may have just been looking at like the North American server.
True. Yeah, it's a very anecdotal experience, but I will just say where that matters is like a lot of times, like it could be that we're going to play 5-on-5, but more than likely it'll probably be something like 3-on-3. Like when it's searching for matches, somehow it ultimately that's how it'll end up. And when there's a very sparse amount of players, you end up in these 1-on-1 games. And I'd rather play 5-on-5 every time. It's just more fun. It's complicated, almost like I've seen a single person beat a 5 team, many a time, just because like they're kind of just making it harder, just by being human beings, like essentially. But it's also really fun, to have that. To talk with them and, just kind of hype it all up. So yeah, in the future, I hope the multiplayer part of whoever gets it is really strong. And, when the next tournament comes around, I imagine it will be it'll really hype, when the next World Cup, comes through.
2026.
Yeah. And there's the women's is kind of on a, I guess it'll be probably 24, will be the next one. So a lot of times they latch onto that gets a lot of hype here too. So
well, we'll see. I mean, we'll know when EA releases their next soccer game, football, and FIFA releases their next football. That we'll know. It'll be clear which one's better.
I tell you, I'm calling out rare games. I want to see Battletoads soccer, and we rise to the top. Yeah, so that's
you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Rare, you heard it here first.
That would be a rare game.
Bring it together. I mean, first come back into existence, and then go ahead and create that game there for Chuck, just because he wants it. Wait, does Rare still exist? Weren't they bought out?
Do in my fantasy world, like we're talking dream, Chuck's dream. The way this goes. So yeah, I hope so.
They're an Xbox game studio, but they still exist. All right. Well, we'll send them an email and see if they respond. I'm just kidding. Oh, that's funny. Oh, shoot, man. This one's been going for 2 hours and 16 minutes, dude. If you're still out there, listener, tuned in, thank you. God bless you. Oh, man. This has been a fun episode, Chuck. Thank you, man, for the great episode idea.
Yeah, for sure. And
World Cup is still going on. good time.
Honestly, I wish you'd play it with me. I will say it crosses my mind just every once in a while. I think maybe even I mentioned this to you before, but I would love to see your like kind of Warzone intensity to come to a game of FIFA sometime soon. So
I think I downloaded one of them. It was free.
Oh, no kidding.
One of them was free on PlayStation. Yeah, so I'll have to just install it.
Yeah.
And then we can play it.
That would be fun.
I'll see if it's the same one that you have. We'll see if it's the same one that you have. Everyone, thanks for tuning in. If this was your first time, definitely thanks for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed it. And what was this, episode 16? Yeah, episode 16, man. We're getting close to episode 20. We're plugging along here, having a great time. We'll be back with another episode in 2 weeks. It may be, just in case, listener, just to prepare you, it might be 3 or 4 weeks. I have some family coming in. I'm not going to lie to you. Things are going to be a little bit crazy. It's also, it's the holiday time of year, you know. You guys, you're all out. You're going to be out there busy too, right? I hope everyone is having a great holiday season. But so Chuck, I know I'm kind of springing that on you too. You're looking at me like, what? What the hell? Because I got family coming in, so we'll see. But otherwise, you can expect another episode. It'll be episode 17 coming in 2 weeks. We'll have something hot and spicy for you. Maybe holiday related, maybe.
Oh yeah.
But hey, if you enjoy us, please show us some love. It would be super helpful for us just to get out there a little bit more. Whatever you listen to your podcasts on, if you can leave us a good rating and review, we'd appreciate it tons. And we'll shout you out here on the podcast. You can reach us directly at ovoxandchuk @gmail.com. That's OVOXANDCHUK @gmail.com. We're also on Facebook. You can like our Facebook page. That's facebook.com/New Wave Gaming Podcast. And we're on the YouTubes as well. Check out the YouTube channel. Subscribe. You can always catch us there. What is that one, Chuck? It's youtube.com/@NWG Podcast. That's it.
That sounds right, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, I haven't looked at it recently.
I don't have any of that written down. I'm kind of just bringing it up off the top of my brain, so I hope I didn't mess any of that up. And yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Muchas gracias and stuff.
Yeah, for
thanks,
sure.
Chuck.
Yeah, thanks you.
You got anything else?
Definitely hope everyone enjoys the rest of the World Cup and maybe gets out there and tries one of these soccer games and enjoy.
Yeah. Why don't you go try Pleasure Goal 5-on-5 mini soccer?
I'm on my way. Signing off.
Or you may enjoy Captain Tsubasa J. Get in the tomorrow.
That's what they call
All right, everyone. Thank you.
All right, love you, man.
Talk to you soon.